I think that's where people, honestly, in adoption scale, they struggle the most is like, they're like, I know I need to. And I think that's kind of how you're advising clients too. It's like, I know I need to, but where do I start and how do I get to the point where I'm comfortable?
Yeah, and we kind of dove right into so my experience, which is
It's my
very, and your
style.
experience, which is very. We live in this, we breathe it. We're familiar, but um, we should, for the listeners, kind of pull back to
Hmm.
the norm, the average, which, to your point, is folks that are just dabbling their toes in this. They've either they're from a company side, their company's bought some technology and most often just dumped it on them, going, we got this for you, it's great, we're so excited, but we're not supporting you with training, we're not integrating it into your workflows, we're not really giving you guidance on how this assists you in your career journey. So a lot of people just haven't used it, or there's a healthy amount of fear out there that it's going to replace jobs, or they use it for just a few things, but in no way near the full potential. And then the average user, it depends the data. Some studies say that it's really mass adoption, and everybody from your Gen A's to your grandparents is using ChatGPT for all sorts of stuff. I tend to believe it's somewhere in the middle, that people are using it more than we think, but I think
Hmm.
they're primarily using it as either a Google replacement, like a web search replacement,
Yes.
or just as a, I want to bounce some thoughts off someone, and this is easier than texting my friend, especially for like embarrassing or sensitive stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that try and use it as like makeshift therapy, which it's like not intended for, but you can understand.
Number one use, yeah,
I think
companion
if
use.
it anything, it tells you it's like people want that. They just don't want it in the form that they have it currently. They'd like it in a more passive kind of like less formal such. I mean, that again, people just want to do stuff while they're also doom scrolling Zillow. Let's be honest. So we're kind of solving for that. Yeah, do you again, that's the thing, everybody's at a different pace on this, but I think the other thing too is part of it is just going to be, it reminds me of like late 90s early 2000s retail internet too, where people were like not ready to use it for what eventually they would use it for. They were a little reticent, but you can obviously see the very, you can connect a dot and be like, oh yeah, just have agentic handle your shopping for you. It's not far off.
Yeah, and that aspect of it in particular, I'm quite interested in and bullish on, um, just because it is different than a lot of those other tech maturation cycles. Initial internet, mobile internet, social internet, uh, where most of those had to have huge lifts in terms of like infrastructure, user behavior. Institutions took ages to get on board because they had such entrenched, um, contrary interests. They had huge retail footprints. Of course, they don't want to go e-com unless they absolutely have to, for example. But this one is different because so much of the rails, if you will, are already set.
Yeah.
Institutions are already on board. One slide I use in client presentations is that it just so happens that the biggest companies in the world that have the most access to our eyes and ears and wallets also happen to be the ones that are spending unprecedented historical amounts of money to make this stuff work. So they have incredible vested interests to change their own existing, UX and search infrastructure, shopping infrastructure, app ecosystems to make it work. So I think, and that's of course not a guarantee of success, but at least it tells me that they're going to give it a pretty good, the good old college try, if you will. And I
Yeah.
think it's going to happen. They're going to try quicker than those other cycles.